So we looked at parenting last video, but I started to discuss some of the downsides of parenting, like the fact that it only will work on those 4 main transform properties. Another downside is that everything is going to be carried over within those 4 properties. So let's say that you wanted to hook up different properties together. So you might want to have an effect carry over from one layer to another, or you might want to have just one of those transformation properties copy from one to the next. In our case, we're going to go ahead and copy a scale property from our parent cars down to our child cars. So let's set this up first. What I'm going to do is move my playhead back to the start and take off the parenting that I set up for my null object, which is my grandparent layer. And I'm also just going to delete that layer because I don't need it anymore. So right now what I have is a position movement on my cars, on my parent cars, and then a rotation movement on my child cars. So let's say that I also put a scale movement on my parent car. So I've got my position showing up. If I hit Shift and S, that'll show me my scale property as well. I can enable my keyframes on scale, and I'll just have them get smaller over time, down to about 50%. So we can start at 100% and scale down to 50%. So let's say that I want that exact same scale on this layer, but I don't want to have the position come over too. I just want it to rotate and scale down at the same time. I don't know why you would necessarily want to do that, but it's a good way to show off what this effect will do, or this feature will do. So what I need to do is I need to find first my scale property on my child cars. So I'm going to select my child cars and hit Shift S to see scale. And then I need to connect this using expressions. And if you hover over the toggle for your time varies stopwatch, your keyframe stopwatch, and hold down the Option button. It's going to be Alt if you're on a Windows machine. And then click on the stopwatch. Instead of making a new keyframe, what it'll do is it'll open up your expressions section. So you can use this to connect to another property using the pickwhip like we did with parenting. You can also use the expression language menu, which we're not going to look at today. Expressions are actually sort of a coding language within After Effects. Mainly what they do is they connect one property to another, and then you can also have time influence it, or you can use math to influence it, and it's something that we're going to look at in a second anyway. So let's go ahead and take our scale and have it connect up to this scale up here. So the way that you're going to do that is you're going to take this pickwhip and click and drag up to the word scale here. And that'll connect both of them together, and you'll see that it automatically fills in the code for you. Then just start scrubbing, and you'll see that one gets applied to the other. Now keep in mind that what this is doing is it's not just having this follow the other one. If that were true, then the anchor point would be carried over too, and they would scale from the parent's anchor point instead. Instead, what this is doing is it's just copying the values from one to the next using code. So it's basically just saying whatever values you see here, apply here as well. And because we're doing that, we can't actually affect these values anymore. So this one's locked now. Another difference from how parenting works. If you were to do the same thing on, say, your position value, what you would see is instead of this thing being positioned from the starting point right here, it would actually carry over the entire position value. So it's going to follow it exactly. Okay. So this is kind of one of the downsides of this. The nice thing is you can also apply a little bit of math to have this affect the layers in an interesting way. So for instance, let's say that in my scale code right here, I just want to have my child car start out about 10% larger than my parent car. So I'm going to type plus 10, not hit return. And that way, it starts out at 110% instead. Okay. Well, it looks like it's just applying along my X. So I would need to put in a more complicated code to do this. But suffice to say, you could also double it if you want. So maybe we'll just do multiplication instead. Multiplied by 2. I keep hitting return by accident. There we go. Now we're actually getting it. So it starts out at 200% and then scales down to 100%, whereas this one starts out at 100% and scales down to 50%. So try this out, try connecting different properties together, and try using a little bit of math to affect the way that those get connected together.